Juan Gutierrez is a victim of Colombia's conflict. Forced to leave the ancestral lands of his indigenous community, he is one of an estimated 6 million displaced people in Colombia today. As a community leader, he was told to leave the region where he grew up or face the consequences, and 12 years later, he is still unwilling to show his face on camera or use his real name for fear of reprisals. For Juan, it is hard looking back on how armed groups destroyed the tranquility his community once enjoyed.
It was extremely difficult. It no longer felt like our territory. We didn't have any sort of freedom. Often, they would call meetings to forbid us from even speaking our own language. We had to speak Spanish because they always wanted to know what we were doing.
Stories like Juan's will soon be heard in Havana, where peace talks resumed on August 12th between the Colombian government and Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. It is among impoverished rural and indigenous communities that many of the country's victims originate, in lands where guerrillas have battled state security forces and paramilitaries. And it's at the hands of the paramilitaries that many communities have suffered most, with the state-sanctioned groups estimated to be responsible for over 80% of conflict-related murders.
They say this war has produced around 200,000 deaths, which indicates that in the Colombian countryside, the government has never provided security to farmers and peasants. In reality, a time came in which the rural poor had to arm themselves in self-defense. To defend themselves against who? To defend themselves against the government.
It's a contentious issue, with both sides at the talks still involved today in abuses against civil society. Adequately addressing the plight of so many victims generated through decades of conflict is no easy task, but both sides at the negotiating table know that without doing so, there will be no peace. This is Charles Parkinson for Telesur English in Bogotá, Colombia.